welcome to this FTI Treasury Talks. We're going to be focused on cash reporting and cash forecasting. And my name is Justin Callaghan, and I'm the CEO here at FTI Treasury. We're a Dublin-based treasury services company, and I'm delighted to be joined this morning by Shane O'Keefe, who is our head of innovation and also our back office manager, and Barry Callaghan, who's one of our senior managers in our front office. The sticky topic, I suppose, of cash forecasting and cash reporting is a very, very hot one these days. A recent European Association of Corporate Treasurers survey showed that it was the number one priority noted, and indeed it has been for the last 4 years in that survey. And at the same time, the recent KPMG Global survey found that 72% of respondents found it as a key priority. So we know that cash forecasting and reporting is a significant process that is required by organisations, yet at the same time we also know that is something that people struggle with. So we're going to try to dig a little bit deeper into that today and have a look at some of the things that we do here at FTI Treasury to help our clients within that process. Shane, maybe just to kick off, we've definitely seen a significant increase in interest and focus on cash reporting and cash forecasting over the last couple of years. What do you think has been kind of driving that?
Well, look, for the balance reporting, cash reporting, the main drivers was that is increased regulation and the Sarbanes-Oxley that was introduced in the early noughties, where the board and senior management have more responsibility to ensure the accuracy of what is reported on their balance sheets. So they need real-time information to what cash assets they have access to. So they need either real-time access or as close to real-time as they can get. From a cash forecasting perspective, with the advances in technology at the moment, there's an awful lot more information out there where you can get access to more easily and to combine easier. So with the advancements on your ERP systems, on AI and robotics processes, it's just made it a lot more easy to get the information together and to do an accurate analysis of it to give you a better picture of how you can forecast cash come forward.
Interesting. Yeah. So there's been a kind of a rise in importance from a corporate perspective, driven by you mentioned things like Sarbanes-Oxley, and I guess one of the things I suppose that we would have noticed as well that has led to the ability for treasurers to probably invest a little bit more in these processes. Whereas previously they were probably seen as nice to have.
Luxury items.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
It's probably fair to say that now treasurers are expected to produce these sort of numbers, and probably at a board level and a C-suite level, there's a willingness to invest in that, which maybe there wasn't there before. Would that be fair to say?
Now when it gets to senior level, there, you have to have the figures.
Yeah, I suppose no one wants to end up in jail for incorrect reporting of cash.
No, not worth it.
Yeah. So we're talking about two sort of distinct processes here, the whole concept of cash reporting and then cash forecasting. They're obviously completely intertwined, right? And they're sort of two sides of the same coin. But generally speaking, they have quite different processes. Generally speaking, what are the sort of differences that we're talking about here?
So on a very basic fundamental differences, like cash balance reporting is a historical look at cash, and then your cash forecasting is more of an advanced future looking of where cash is expected to be hopefully in the coming months, years. And then from even a setup point of view, it's a bit different. So the cash balance reporting, people will think, this is going to be easy, you just need all your bank balances. But actually, when you start into it, it's a little bit more complex than what people start out thinking. It will depend really on the organizational structures, like how many banks you trade with, how many bank accounts you have, the regions. And then it is about getting your bank balance information, if it's the old format of MT40 or the new format of the CAMF, into your treasury or your cash forecasting system.
So we're talking about sort of factual real life balances versus what might happen in the future, and the key sort of differences.
Yeah.
And Barry, from a front office treasury perspective, I mean, you're an end user of this, right?
Absolutely.
Shane is sort of creating the data and the likes. You take that data and...
Well, from front office point of view, I suppose both go hand in hand and are integral to having a robust and comprehensive cash management process. So knowing what available cash you have on a currency by currency basis is integral to a good process. What is pooled and what needs to be moved to central treasury accounts. There's some of the basic building blocks of a cash management process, really. So, however, from kind of a forecasting reporting, it's what you do with those balances when you see them and when you get them, in terms of swapping them to base currencies, paying down debt, making investments, kind of all driven by the expected future requirements of the cash.
Yeah. So you would use both real-time cash reporting and forecasting hand in hand.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And to know sort of your cash positioning, but then also to know your time frame.
Exactly. It all comes down to good forecasting process, really, and it comes down to good information communication on AP and AR flows.
Yeah.
But it's a good point in relation to using existing data or existing information and future looking information.
Yeah. So maybe to move into a bit more detail, we've talked just there about why people want to forecast and sort of what it's used for from a practical perspective. But Shane, I mean, you're at the coalface of putting in place some of these processes. Could you walk us through some of the sort of more detail about how, because it is like reporting and forecasting are things that people struggle with. We see it again and again, and I think you've probably seen it more than most in your role, having implemented this for multiple different clients. So can you just walk us through some of the sort of processes and how people might expect to get to where they want to be in terms of this?
Yeah. So let's go through what we did to set this up for some of our clients. So like the first step we always do is go to market and see what is the best software that is available to us to do. So you do an analysis of, there's numerous ones that we're going to them now, and see which one best suits your requirements. Once you then have that, it is we would always start with the balance reporting part first, because that's the starting point for your cash forecasting as well. So then it is talking with all your banks, getting the connections set up between your banks and your new cash forecasting system. This is usually done through SFTP kind of setup. Some of them will have APIs as well, but haven't seen as many of them really as the SFTP solutions. So once you have all that set up, they will all, as well for the bank balance reporting, there will always be a few that won't have functionality.
Which are the banks?
Like is the smaller banks that you might have just from a regional perspective for a tax purpose that needs to be there. So we have a local bank.
That's them. We manually input that data, then we need to within that.
Yeah. So that would be you getting the local unit to log onto the system and put that balance in. Well, like it's usually low value funds. And then once you have that set up, you then design like how you want to look at that report, what buckets and time frames. Like you might want it by business line, by region, currency, whatever way you want it. There's numerous ways. And then you have that set up, and then you can have that report automated. It's sent to the senior management on a daily basis, or whenever you want. Or they can log onto the system as well, and they can look at it. And then you go on for the cash forecasting, which is a little bit more, you have more interface because there'll be more systems. So first we would identify where your main, what's running your cash, where's your AP, where your AR stored. They're the first two to look at anyway. If there's other systems that you are using, like you might have a salary system that might interface into it, we've only seen one or two people doing that, but it is possible. So any system that you are using that holds information of where your cash is either coming from or being paid into, you would try to connect that to your cash forecasting system. And then again, as always, you'll have a few ad hoc items that are sitting outside that. And then you would have local users at the local levels that will log onto the system and just put in, manually in the cash flow forecast. A lot of these might be tax payments that you won't have in your ERP system beforehand or your accounting system. It could be VAT. Another one is rent mightn't be in there. So they're the common ones in the city.
But we also can set up the type of recurring flows. That's what you said, but like the rent and salaries and stuff. So that happen once a month, and we can integrate into the system that are there.
So most systems will have that functionality in there. But again, when you're doing your analysis of what's your system requirements, that deal one of the things.
So Shane, the key interface then, and it's all about data, right? It's all about getting data into a reasonable system that you can then interpret, right? That's at the end of the day. So what you mentioned there, though, are key interfaces, and like they're generally speaking with the ERP system for AP and AR. Is that will that be?
Yeah, that's not me.
Is that? That's a big. Is that a big body of work, or how difficult is that to achieve?
Again, it will come down to your ERP system, but most of them have that functionality. It is just getting the key people that know what steps need to be done to interface it. That's an important point, is like having the right people that have the right knowledge to do this. Now, if you don't have them internally, you can always get an expert. They'll all come in on a piece of it. So get a project based. And that would really speed up the process.
So, and then obviously, like one of the key outputs from this is sort of if you feel like forecasting, for instance, some of the integration, and the key outputs is to look at variance analysis, right? Because, as we mentioned, a lot of organizations do struggle with forecasting, and they say, we go through these processes, but then the result just doesn't reflect reality, right? And that sometimes that can paralyze people up front, can't they? They aren't willing to sort of progress.
Yeah.
What's your view on that? Just
that I'm strongly just not to let that happen, because once you start cash forecasting and doing the analysis of comparing what actually happened versus that, it will you very quickly identify like where the gaps are within your information, and you'll be able to plug them pretty quickly. It will take a little bit of time, to plug all the gaps, but like you should start straight away, because it is the systems are very good at now. Yes, doing the actual versus forecast analysis for you, and you can break it down like to nearly an account or account by account based, but what was wrong, and identify who you need to talk to and how you've helped them improve their performance. So that's going forward.
The variance analysis in itself,
will improve.
Allows you to make the whole process.
I think Shane mentions in relation to it takes some time. It's become self-evident really that it's the usual culprits really that you need to talk to in relation to get the correct data flow in. But once you start plugging the gaps, it makes a massive difference in relation to the information output.
Yeah. And Barry, talking about output again, you're kind of an end user. From a reports perspective, what are the ones that you would see?
Well, we can, it's great to have a consolidated view from the system. So, and Shane alluded to there in relation to interfaces. So, like from my point of view, it's really interfaces the key word here. So we'd be in, all the data from, for instance, your header accounts, your treasury accounts, maybe say in a certain bank and on a certain EB system. So you interface all that data into your cash forecasting system. That's your kind of your starting point in relation to your balances and where you start from, and then you're looking then at any treasury related flows. You're integrating with your ERP system. You're looking at, again, we come back to cash forecasting and having a robust cash forecasting process in place. You're looking at your AP, your AR flows, and your other ad hoc treasury flows, and then you're taking I did refer to already a consolidated view. Then you're looking at a certain figure, and then you're looking out into the future of what you can do with those funds.
So you're very much looking at the let's call it shortish term.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
treasury.
Forecast. From a front office.
That's very valuable.
Yeah,
that's very valuable from an earning dollars perspective.
Absolutely,
right?
that's absolutely. Well, we did refer to earlier on, like from a true treasury standpoint, the higher interest rate environment now, is driven to having a good figure to know what to do at the end of the day. If you look only a number of years ago, interest rates were negative around the floor. Now, we're looking at getting overnight dollars away at nearly 5.5%.
Yeah.
So, knowing what your figure is at the end of the day to invest or to, as we talked a bit before, swapping into base currency to pay down external debt is integral to what's going on. So it's
there's a real life benefit.
Absolutely. It's real. It's a real life.
With Treasury perspective. It's probably fair to say, Shane and Barry, that, like, our clients use their forecasts for lots of different things. I mean, Barry, you focused in on a particular, we're a treasury company, so we're, that's what we look at. But the information flow that you gain is used for lots more than that. What do you think about that?
So, like, you usually see it like in 3 time buckets, right? So, like, as Barry's team would do, they'll look from now to maybe, let's say, 2-3 weeks out to see what their short-term cash needs are and what we're going to do with excess funds and what we're going to do. Then we would see from, let's say, from now to maybe like 3 to 6 months, and then that is more like seeing opportunities where you can, utilize your RCF, so you're not drawing down funds on a short, like taking structured that intermediary requirements only when it's really required. You're not having cash over in China someplace, and it gives you the time in the next few weeks to work on dividend repayments, getting funds back in instead of using your RCFs. And so that would be like a medium term cash forecast, because, and then it's more long term, so it's more in a strategic term of let's say if they're doing an acquisition, like, they're planning this for 12 months time, what are our cash needs, this is what we're expected to have at that stage in 12 months time, right? This is what our deficit is, how are we going to fund that, what are our options? And it gives you, depending on the accuracy, again, how comfortable you are with it, but it usually gives you a good indicator of like how much debt you need to raise for that. Or if we're not doing an acquisition and you're thinking, look, right, we have our long-term debt is maturing at 18 months time, this is what it is. Oh, look, we can plan to reduce this, and then when you're going to your banks to renegotiate, like, you have a better idea what your requirements are, you can give them the forks and can justify what you're.
So those 3 sort of, I know, we're using, but it's sort of broken down into short-term treasury uses.
Short-term treasury uses, your medium-term.
Medium-term sort of planning.
Budgeting purposes,
strategic.
Planning.
And when you look at those, they're quite different in their nature, right? Because obviously they have different uses, different levels of probably accuracy, and variability. But at the same time, they all are driven by data, but obviously it must be different data, right? Is that fair to say? Or?
So, like, Barry's cash forecast would be driven by the AP and AR, really, and actual payment files that the operating units are producing. To give you, you'll probably get an accuracy rate, definitely on the payments, of like 90 to 95%. The receipts might be a little bit off, but like, you're still talking pretty high accuracy rating. Then when you're going out past that, so like your APAR is usually a 3 to 6 month kind of bucket you'll have there. So once that stops, then it's down to your contracts. Like, so you might have a contract with someone for the next 18 months. So based off that, you should be able to guesstimate what you're going to earn off that client for the next 18 months. So you should be able to accurately enough to get an idea of what your cash flows are. Then after that, you're talking, it's more of a strategic level of what you hope the company is going to do, how it's going to perform.
You do make a valid point in relation to the AP. You like 95% plus accuracy on the AP, which is always good information to have. It is the AR and the receivables and the money coming in that is less knowledgeable, I suppose, and there can be a bit of a variance there.
Yeah, you say that, Barry, but I mean, you build up a bank of knowledge around that, don't you?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
And as you roll out these processes for clients, you get to know, right, that there is a lag on euro
absolutely
receipts.
So, and you kind of build it into your processes then. So if you know that your euro in, but you're not going to get it to maybe a 30 to 60 day turnaround. Yeah. That you can build that into your process. Then you can build that into your cash management process. So, but it is all about it's kind of a wealth of knowledge. Really. It's all about building that information over a period of time, really, in relation to just getting to know the ins and outs of and the workings of the flows. Yeah, it's a good point.
So I mean, like, what you've talked about there, in simple terms, is kind of intelligent automation, right? Where you've automated data flow and you're producing good reports on the back of it, right? And you're identifying where there might be issues with those reports, and then you're adjusting for them. Barry, you're adjusting for them out of your knowledge, right? And so I got to ask the question then: is there a role for artificial intelligence in this? Or
to leave that to Shane. That's my question.
Well, it is the buzzword at the moment. Everybody likes to have it in all their processes. What I've seen from a practical point of view, it's great if you can, but it is coming down to a cost benefit analysis of it. AI is still a little bit on the expensive side. There is, ways of building that in, that kind of logic that Barry has in his head in through robotics, which I've seen a bit more of, where the data that's coming out of the ERP is run through a robotic process, which will apply the logic to that. Or some ERP systems, you can build that logic in there as well. But if you can get AI, you get an awful lot more accuracy, because it can do a lot bigger data analysis for you, and it will pull out the trend for you a lot quicker. It's, you can do it manually yourself, but it will be a nice cherry on top.
Yeah, it is a helpful tool. It will be a helpful tool. Yeah, absolutely. I think the human knowledge and of what's going on with the business is still, I think, is still core.
Absolutely. There'll always be things occurring within the business that aren't in the system.
Absolutely.
Right? So there is a requirement to ensure that whatever system you have has access to all of those realms. Is that right? Yeah. And so from that perspective, guys, like the systems that we use, they're cloud-based, online. So you're looking at sort of really opening all aspects of data, right? Manual, integrated systems, consolidated central input, and using logic as well, if necessary. You mentioned using robotic processes. I mean, that's almost like human intelligence, but then systematizing it, right?
Yes. I think it's kind of what we like Shane has built some more PAs for us in the front office, and it's at the end of the day, it's getting the data from one source to another, but it's so we come in the morning, we can have a look at this data, and it's making a decision. When it does happen to go source to that, it's there for us there, and then but we still have to sit down and collect the data and have a look at the information and make a decision then from how we go in relation to investments and swapping, what we discussed before.
So just as a matter of interest, if we were looking to put in place a reporting, cash report, let's say it's we have a global company, they're present in 50 different countries, a few hundred bank accounts, multiple banks. Generally speaking, like what's the sort of time frame that you would see to first of all implement a good consolidated cash reporting system whereby the treasurer can look at every day, look at their cash position, know what banks they're exposed to, what currencies they're exposed to, and then also probably following on from that, because that's probably the logical progression, to implement a forecasting process.
Okay. So I'm going to look at this in two kind of ways. If it's a company on their own, starting out this and learning everything as they go, it takes a bit longer. It would probably take, depending on your banks and what are their requirements for, how much documentation is there. It could take, just to get the balance reporting set up, could we talk you like 6 months? But if you get the people that know, have all the knowledge of what needs to be done and what steps are doing that, like we can set it up in around 6 weeks. So
it's having the right infrastructure from the start, isn't it?
And it's having the right people that have the right knowledge of knowing, like, this is what I need to do, these are the steps, this is the sequence of steps I need to do, that are familiar with the banks, know straight away, like, this is what we need to ask you, this for this, and this, and they get the ball rolling. While, sometimes when you're dealing with certain big banks, they'll spend 3 weeks just try to
working out internally.
internally of who we have to talk to. Well,
It's good. It's a good argument for getting external resource or outsourcing this in reality, and that it's the sort of thing that an organisation might go through kind of only once every 10 years.
Absolutely.
So you're unlikely to have the skill set internally, and and it will be a very steep learning curve. Whereas you guys implement these things 4 or 5 times a year, so it's a significant kind of
and then to go from your balance reporting to your cash forecasting, again, your biggest stumbling block there that we would see is your IT resources. If companies don't have unlimited IT resources, don't have projects going on, so it's just booking them early so that you have them that resource available. And once you have that, to set up the interface between an ERP system and our treasury management system should only take a day. But again, it's about pre-planning and getting everybody aligned, and then you should be able to send it.
Shane, it harks back to a little bit of an earlier point. A lot of people get concerned that the initial run of this, right? It's not going to be correct. The forecast. Over a period of how many months do you think it takes to get to be, significantly better?
Like if you take Barry's team there, right? Look at this day on day. Like they will highlight the variances within a week. They'll know the main culprits of.
From the initial setup, it's bringing people with you on board to get the information in. Like you do mention paralysis by analysis or tunnel vision. It's right. Having a broader picture of. It is good. It's from the start. It's tough, to get everything in place. And as Shane alluded to, in relation to the banks and getting information out of some of the bigger banks and stuff. But and it's not always going to be right at the start, but you can, you build on it, and you'd be very, very surprised in a short, piece of time how quick you can get the process up and running.
So get started.
Absolutely, get started. Yeah.
Work with it. It's an iterative process.
It is indeed.
You need to keep going. Okay, very good. Folks, so just to wrap up, maybe if an organisation was looking at redeveloping or putting in place, a reporting and forecasting process, any key advice that you'd give them? One line.
Get someone that knows what they're doing. It speeds up the process so much, and you get the advantage as quickly as possible.
Perfect.
And just bring people with you. If you're in a large organisation, communication is key in relation to forecasting and providing the right information, and then having everybody on board with you is a good one.
Perfect. So go for it. Get on with it.
Absolutely.
And you'll get there.
Yeah,
you will.
Thanks, folks. Thanks for listening today. I hope you found that interesting. It's a complex topic. People do struggle with it, but there are lots of benefits, as we've talked through today, of getting in place a good process. And you can get a lot of help out there to put that process in place, both process, systems help, and day-to-day management of that. That's something that we can help you with here at FTI Treasury. So if you'd like any more information at all, please go over to our website, ftitreasury.com, and get in touch with any of us at any stage. Thanks again for listening today, and talk to you all soon.